Welcome in, Front Yard family. I'm Jay Felicio, and today we're going to be talking about the fantasy outlook for Travis Etienne in the upcoming 2022 season. Here with me today is friend of the show, Justin Wright from 14 Personnel. Justin, thanks for joining me, and let's just go ahead and dive right in. What do you like about Travis Etienne for this upcoming season?
Yeah, Jay, again, thanks for having me. I'm sure you guys have seen me on plenty of Front Yard things, but
Plenty.
I'm happy to have this as, the first fantasy outlook you guys are doing, and I specifically requested Travis Etienne for
You did.
several reasons. I mean, just from the situation, I think that's a huge piece of this right now. James Robinson is coming back from an Achilles tear late in the season. It's likely he doesn't come back until week 8 to 10. That's the expected timeline, and even that's going to be quick. So you're not going to see a ton of competition, especially early, and that bodes really well for Etienne because he already has chemistry with Trevor Lawrence, even though obviously he was injured last season, right? You saw them in college. The rapport is there, and he's going to be the workhorse back. That's just a fact. I mean, I get Snoop Conner is there, but Snoop Conner doesn't do a whole lot for me in terms of, true competition. And I understand the argument of, well, Doug Pederson uses committee backs. That's what he does. Not really, though. When he has a true 3-down back, he plays them like a 3-down back. The most recent example, you can look at Miles Sanders, his last season with Doug Pederson, a 70% opportunity share. Travis Etienne sees that. You're looking at a guy that carries top 10 upside. Again, I'm not going to rank him top 10, but that's the type of ceiling he possesses. It's just, there's a lot to like. I don't really know how you really scoff at him outside of the Lisfranc injury.
Yeah, and I'm with you. One thing I really like about Travis Etienne is he can do it all. He can run between the tackles. He can run outside. He can catch the ball, and he's a threat to take it to the house every single time he touches the ball. Like you said, the chemistry is something that really sticks out too. You've seen the trend here in the NFL recently, the Bengals with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, the Cardinals trading for Hollywood Brown, the Eagles trading for, even though they didn't play together, A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are good friends. So You're seeing this more and more in the NFL where these guys want to play with each other. They've got the chemistry. They played 3 seasons in college together. In those 3 seasons, Etienne averaged almost 1,400 rushing yards, 22 touchdowns, 32 catches, and 366 reception yards. And he really didn't start to get involved in the passing game until his last 2 seasons. His 2018, their first season together, he only had 15 targets. Their last season, he had 60 targets and 48 catches. So especially in PPR leagues, pretty much everything is at least half PPR. Travis Etienne is that guy that, like you said, he can easily be a 3-down back, in today's NFL where the running back position is so specialized. Even though James Robinson could come back, Snoop Conner's there. I'm with you. I think that Travis Etienne has the ability to be that guy.
Yeah. And people will point out, and this gets brought up if you're on Twitter all the time, the article headline, Etienne is nervous when catching passes. That was in 2018. 2019, 2020, that clearly didn't matter. Right. He's a guy going for 70-plus catches over the course of those 2 seasons. That's behind him. That headline is just one that people pull up and they don't look at the date, and they're like, see, he's not a good pass catcher. And
right.
It's just like true.
About this time last year, the headlines were all saying, oh, Jamar Chase can't catch the ball. Jamar Chase needs the NCAA lines on the ball in order to catch it. Like,
that's so dumb.
Okay. So
right. He's a first-round NFL draft pick. Yes, he missed last season. This is essentially his rookie year. He's already an older running back in terms of, he's 23, 24 years old already. So it's not as if he has to be learning a ton. And he's in a room with, again, Snoop Conner and what could be a shell of James Robinson when he comes back.
Let's look at the negatives. What could, if things come crashing down, what's some things that you don't like about Travis Etienne for the 22 season?
Yeah, so I mean, again, you obviously want to have running backs tied to elite offenses. That just gives you significantly more touchdown upside. An offense that's on the field more is going to generate more touches. If they're winning, your running back tends to touch the ball more. So that's really the main negative there is the Jaguars as a whole are probably going to suck. Like
not probably, they will. I mean,
things can go crazy. They could be decent. They're not gonna, but they could. So that is one thing that could go sideways. And again,
I could also win the lottery. I'm not gonna,
right,
but
a lot
I
of
could.
things could happen. So like, I mean, that is not ideal. Again, if they're, but on the flip side of that, even of that argument, even is, if they're trailing a ton, maybe he catches a bunch of checkdowns. So it is a double-edged sword there. Maybe more receiving work, fewer touchdown opportunities. That can still limit a ceiling, significantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that does concern me a little bit is it's not a pretty history when it comes to players who have had to have Liz Frank surgery. Now, granted, most of these guys, you're looking 10, 15 years ago, Reese Jones-Drew, Darren McFadden, Ronnie Brown, Cedric Benson. They had this surgery and they were never the same. Granted, most of these guys were in the latter part of their career, so it's a little different. As we see with guys like Cam Akers, with his injury, medical advancements are progressing so fast that I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case with Etienne. I'm still out on Etienne, but it's something you do have to take into consideration. People have brought up Joe Mixon, Le'Veon Bell, Brian Westbrook. Those guys had sprains and they didn't have to have surgery like Etienne and all these others. So, and like you said, there is the potential for a crowded backfield if James Robinson comes back. And is it, even 70% of what he was?
Yeah.
We saw that he can be productive. They did trade up for Snoop Connor, so I do think there is a role for him in this offense. I'm with you. I'm not necessarily too concerned about it, but it is within the realm of possibility. So it's just something you have to keep in the back of your mind. Now, these things, they're where he's going right now. He's currently running back 24 off the board, according to fantasy data. Yeah,
so
it blows my mind. So that's built into the price. So what we're gonna do? Go ahead.
I say one thing to note though is I think fantasy data, it might be trailing a little bit because we're not running a lot of redraft leagues. So if you guys are watching this and you play best ball, like ETN's up around RB 16, 17. Even then, I think that's fine. Like I still have no issue with the best ball ADP, and that won't always mirror redraft 1-to-1, but I'm still in at that price.
Yes, I feel like that's his floor. I feel like you're getting him at his floor, and there's a very real scenario. I think he's like he talked about. People are hesitant because he's not on that prolific offense, but I think it works. Remember what Blake Bortles, I think, finished as the QB4 in Jacksonville.
It was him and Allen Robinson were electric. They were unbelievable.
Yeah.
But
so
I think a good comp is DeAndre Swift last season.
Yeah.
The Lions were terrible. And the whole argument in the entire offseason was, well, he's on the Lions. Don't scout because of the team. The name of the team does not matter. It's irrelevant. You follow what's likely to happen. Look at the player, not the team.
Exactly, 100%. And speaking of which, we're going to go ahead and do a name game. And basically, I picked 5 players who, whether it's now, it's the end of June currently when we're recording this video, but I feel like even if ETN's ADP moves, which I think is going to continue to climb, these 5 guys are going to be around the same ADP as him. So basically, I'm going to give you a name, and you tell me if you're on the clock, who are you picking between the two? So the very first one we're going to go with is Josh Jacobs or Travis Etienne.
Etienne. I do like Jacobs. I think he is probably going to have a better season than people expect, especially with Josh McDaniels there. But he got the pass catching work last season, and he still wasn't, on a points per game basis, that great. I think Etienne just carries a higher ceiling, and with the pass catching work, are probably a really similar floor.
Yep, I'm with you 100%. I'm with you. I would go Etienne. I think Jacobs has a very similar floor, and Etienne just has a higher upside.
Yep.
Damien Harris or Etienne?
So I like Damien Harris. I really like him. He's undervalued. It's going to happen again. In best ball, he's slipped to like RB 30, and it's just preposterous. I just don't understand it.
Free money.
but there's almost no path to him finishing as a top 10 running back. And again, his ceiling is pretty much Etienne's floor, probably. Yeah. So I'm going to keep talking ceiling floor. It's redraft, but I'll take Etienne.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say anything because you said it perfectly. It's exactly what I would have said. So Cam Akers or Etienne?
So this is why I have these two back to back, the exact same tier. They're in projections within 2 points of each other. Like they could not be closer for me. I'll take Akers. I'm going to take Cam Akers. I don't think what we saw at the end of last season or in the playoffs is really who Akers is. Again, 6 months off of an Achilles injury. I don't think anybody expected him to come out and look like a great running back. But here's the thing. McVay wants to have a feature back. We see that every season with him. They're going to give Akers the first crack, and if he can take that job, he's in arguably a top 2 or 3 offense and could score, 15 to 18 touchdowns at the high end. So Akers, I think, gets enough work to really kind of show out here.
This one's definitely tough for me. I've been a Cam Akers fan since his rookie season. I am going to lean Etienne on this one, and the reason being, we saw Henderson come in and fill in admirably. We saw Sony Michel come in at the end of the season and fill admirably. So if Cam Akers, isn't what he was 2 seasons ago, if, the end of last season is, kind of like the new norm for him.
And it could be. It definitely could be.
He won't hesitate. I don't see them hesitating to go to somebody else in this backfield.
That's fair.
Etienne, I feel like he's going to have a longer leash. I think they both have very similar floors, very similar ceilings, but give me the guy who's got Snoop Connor in his backfield versus
Snoop Connor just taking a beating
versus Henderson. And I like Snoop Connor. Don't get me wrong, but it's
been a bloodbath for Snoop Connor.
So let's go on to the next one. Miles Sanders or Etienne.
What are we doing here, Jay? Travis Etienne.
They're right currently, at least on fantasy data. I know Underdog's a little different right now, and fantasy data is a little bit behind, but they're currently close to each other in ADP.
I think Sanders is going to be better than he was last season. He's going to score a touchdown, but like just one would be great. His usage was terrifying, though. I mean, his significant career low. Basically, since the bye week of 2019, Sirianni used him.
Good, he's so talented, and this was more for me because I'm a Miles Sanders truther. I had him. Yeah, I had him a lot of places that season that Doug Pederson was in Philadelphia, and he did give him those touches. And I mean, he consistently is in the top of the league, top 5, top 6 on yards per carry. When he gets the touches, he is good. But
I just don't know if he's gonna. And
I know.
And again, I don't want to use the health argument because you could use it for every running back, but he just gets continually banged up, and he's active, but he's not healthy, and so they're moving touches around. He's been very frustrating, and I think he is a very, very good running back. He's just not going to get the work that I think we want or expect him to.
And as much as I love Miles Sanders, I don't believe he's got the ceiling that Etienne has. I don't believe he has a floor either. Honestly, Miles Sanders' floor is 0, as much as I hate to say it, especially in this offense that, likes to spread the ball around in the backfield. We saw Kenneth Gainwell was very productive. Boston Scott re-signed. We all know Jalen Hurts rushes the ball. So even though Trevor Lawrence is mobile, he's not a threat like Jalen Hurts is to steal production on the ground.
No. Yeah.
So, it's Etienne, and it's not close. And for the final one, we're going to go with somebody who I know you are also very high on. I'm very high on him this upcoming season. James Conner or Travis Etienne?
James Conner. I'm taking James Conner pretty comfortably. You want to talk about, a top 5 ceiling. We saw it. James Conner has it when he is the lead guy. And I understand Darrell Williams is there, but it's not as if they went out and signed Darrell Williams, first week of free agency. That didn't happen till May, June, maybe. So I think Darrell Williams is going to, work in with Keontae Ingram, Benjamin, if that's your thing still. But James Conner is the running back there. He's going to be a guy that for sure is going to miss some time, but he's a good bet to lead the NFL in rushing touchdowns, see expanded receiving work. He carries top 10, top 5 upside. I don't know if you can get the top 5 with Etienne there. And again, the offense is a huge deciding factor in this.
Yep, I'm with you 100%. This is the only one that I am going to choose the other player over Etienne. And for all the reasons you said, the offense, James, everybody's saying, there's going to be regression to the mean for touchdowns. I feel like that everybody says that every year, and I've fallen for that myself. I fell for that with Adam Thielen last year. But
I fell hard.
You know what? Yeah, I'm right there with you. And you know what? Sometimes these guys get the touchdowns because they're good and they play a specific role in their offense. And that's what James Conner does for this offense. Well, that's pretty much it. Do you have any final thoughts when it comes to ETN for this upcoming season, where you're targeting him, what type of teams you're targeting him with?
Draft him on every team. I will target him with every single team. This is the first year, because of guys like him and James Conner, that I'm actively going, wide receiver, tight end the first 2 rounds, because the running back depth is crazy. And ETN is a perfect RB2. If you really want to stretch it, RB1 on a loaded wide receiver team, I think you can get away with it and win some titles with him.
Yeah, I'm with you. Right now, it is ADP, whether it's at 24, 18, he's an auto draft for me. And I'm with you. I'm normally the type of guy, especially redraft, running back. Give me those stud running backs early. But man, there's some great value. And I feel like there's more of a cutoff. Last year, there was a ton of value at the wide receiver position in the middle rounds. There's still some of that, but nowhere near what it was last year. Those guys,
feels weird. It feels different this year.
Yep. If those guys, the T. Higgins, those type of players, they're rising. Their ADP's rising and letting these guys drop. So I'm with you. I'm targeting Travis Etienne everywhere I can. He's somebody who you're getting at an RB2 price. He's priced at his floor, and he can easily put up RB1. Maybe not easily, but there's definitely right. Easily is the wrong word. He can put up RB1 production, and that's the type of guys I like to target. I want guys who you're getting at a value that you win championships by having players that jump a tier, and he's a player that I can see a very clear path for that happening. We are going to be releasing a lot more of these as the season creeps along. Comment below who else you'd like to see us do a video on. Other than that, Justin, thank you again.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.